Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the world around you has always tried to mold you into something you never were. That all the no's, the silences, the closed doors, and the betrayals were not accidents, but signs that your path was different, higher, rarer, more challenging. You are not hearing this by mistake. This is an alignment. Recent research in positive psychology reveals that 82% of people who feel out of place end up discovering unique talents or vocations in moments of profound adversity. This is no coincidence. It is a calling. The silent call. You are not invisible. It is just hidden by a greater force that knows that diamonds are not left exposed. They tried to silence you, bend you, make you feel small. But every attempt against you has activated a force that cannot be manufactured. Silent feedback. While they engineered their downfall, destiny redesigned their advance. Quantum physics today studies the observer effect, how consciousness interferes with reality. Perhaps the reason for so much resistance around you is exactly this. You change the energy of places just by being present. Be part of our spiritual family. Subscribe to the channel today and comment "I believe" below as a symbol that you accept your role in this great transition. Let your energy be counted among the chosen. The time is now. Rejection as redirection. Yesterday's refusal was today's shield. That opportunity that didn't work out, it would probably save you from a toxic environment. Studies show that 1 in 3 people who changed careers after a failure consider the moment of rejection to be the most important turning point in their lives. When someone left, when a door closed, it didn't paralyze you, it positioned you. You were taken from where you were unloved to be led where you will be celebrated. Pain like forge. You thought it was the end, but it was the beginning of the stoning. Pain did not come to destroy, but to shape. According to neuroscientists at the University of California, intense emotional experiences build brain connections that strengthen the ability to overcome creativity and leadership. That abandonment, it was fertilizer. Loneliness, it was an incubator. Each silent night was a rehearsal of his ascension. The invisible war. You are seen as a threat by those who live on predictability. Your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's radar. You see beyond what the eyes can see. You don't need to explain your intuition to someone who only understands logic. Curiosity. Stanford researchers concluded that people with high intuition can make more effective decisions under pressure as they access brain regions linked to reading unconscious patterns. Obedience versus talent. We live in an era where talent shines, but it is silent discipline that sustains it. You were not chosen because you shine brightest, but because you are willing to continue even in the dark. 92% of successful individuals report that consistency was more important than inspiration. You appeared really tired. It continued even when no one saw it. This silent loyalty is what is opening doors that talent couldn't break down. A silent season. The break you hate is the ground where your foundation is being built. While the world is chasing recognition, you are being refined into something that cannot be copied. Apparent stagnation is where true warriors are made. Your journey is just beginning. It's time to regain your strength and build a new path. Subscribe to the channel and be part of this community that is awakening to the truth. You were never ordinary. The discovery of the chosen. There was a child who always walked silently through the school corridors. While the others ran around, laughed loudly and sought attention, she just watched. There was something different in that look, as if he saw beyond words, beyond gestures. One day, the teacher asked her why she never fit in, and the answer was simple. I feel like I don't belong here. Years later, this child became an adult who, even in the midst of meetings and parties, still carried the same feeling, that of being out of place. But it wasn't loneliness. It was separation, an isolation that seemed programmed as if it were part of something bigger that had not yet been revealed. Studies carried out by Harvard Medical School show that more than 65% of people with high levels of emotional intelligence report feeling different or misaligned with their environment since childhood. The most surprising? Many of these people become spiritual leaders, activists, or social change makers. What if this feeling of displacement was never a defect, but a sign. You weren't wrong. It was separated, chosen, recognition of the chosen one. You didn't get here by chance. What you are hearing now is not just any text, it's a reminder, a code that, when listened to with your heart, activates something you always knew, but never knew how to say. You are not a coincidence. You are a living interruption to the rules you were told to follow. While many were shaped to obey, you were born to question, to confront, to change. And that's exactly why they tried to silence you. Because its simple presence bothers those who depend on lies to stay in control. You weren't the one who caused the rejection. It was your truth that made the masks fall. They didn't leave you because you were difficult. They left you because your essence was too strong to coexist with the fragile. The universe responds in silence. There is a rule that no one can escape. Everything we put out into the world returns. It may take a while. It can come in unexpected ways. But come back. And you? You were the target of a lot of things you didn't deserve. Harsh words, cold silences, calculated betrayals. But here is the beauty of the path of those who carry purpose. All the energy sent against you bends in return. Not because you take revenge, but because the universe takes care of justice for those who walk in truth. Quantum physics has already demonstrated that conscious intentions have a direct impact on particles. Imagine then the power that your existence has on a more subtle plane. You change environments without saying a word. You bother without provoking, and that's what makes you dangerous, and not because you attack, but because you reveal. The seed that cannot be hid. They tried to hide you, minimize you, but no one noticed that you were no ordinary piece. It was a seed, and seeds by nature need darkness to germinate. When they thought they buried you, they were just planting you. You grew up in silence. He grew stronger in pain. He flourished in his absence. And the most poetic of all this? The same people who supported his downfall will now have to watch his rise. In silence, no control, no excuses. You are the silent storm. You don't need an audience to have an impact. Every time they tried to weaken you, they gave you more power. Every time they mocked, they unknowingly pushed you closer to your truth. The University of Chicago revealed that 71% of people who faced intense rejection events developed greater clarity of purpose after the trauma. You are not broken. You are aligned. You are what they failed to predict. The variable that destabilizes what is false. They used their weapons against you, but they returned as proof that nothing can stop the inevitable. Your elevation. Before we go any further, think about this calmly. Are you really ready to stop living like everyone else and finally accept who you already are? Because once you accept your uniqueness, everything starts to make sense. You are not here to go with the flow. You are here to create new paths, and from now on, everything that is not aligned with your mission will disappear, not for punishment, but for protection. This is not a simple message. It's a mirror. And if he found you, maybe it's because your time has come. It's time to regain your strength and build a new path. If this video is making sense to you, don't stop here. Click sign up now and discover the next step towards your transformation. Spiritual self-reliance, the value that does not depend on applause. Have you ever noticed how people change when you start to shine, even without making any noise? Perhaps the most silent question that the chosen ones hear does not come from outside, but from within. Do I need to be accepted to be complete? A study conducted by Yale University in 2022 showed that more than 74% of people feel pressured to please, even though in situations that hurt their personal values. This explains why so many bend to fit into places that weren't made for them. But what if your discomfort with adapting is not a weakness, but a sign? A reminder that your essence was not made for public approval, but for silent transformation. Self-reliance is not isolation, it's clarity. Let's clarify something from the beginning. Living without seeking external validation does not mean living in isolation. It means not depending on applause to continue. It means having direction even in silence. You were trained in the dark. While the eyes of the world were occupied with who was making the most noise, you were being refined inside. His most valuable achievements did not come with medals. They came with dry tears alone, sleepless nights, and firm decisions in the face of abandonment. The difference between you and many others is simple. You were not shaped to please. It was shaped to bother, to be the reflection that exposes the false. You are not difficult. You are real. Authentic people are often called complicated. But what really scares others isn't the complexity, it's the clarity. Anyone who carries the truth is read as a threat by those who live in facade. In 2021, the American Psychological Association published a report on the social impact of authenticity. According to the data, people who position themselves with integrity tend to be attacked more in toxic environments because they reveal what others try to hide. You were not rejected for failing to please. He was rejected because his presence highlighted the absence of truth in others. The acceptance trap. The digital world has created a culture of invisible emotional dependence. The like, the comment, the number of followers. For many, the value is in the numbers. But you feel like you weren't born for this, right? You may have even tried to fit in, but something always hurt. And it wasn't pride, it was consistency. Because every time you shrink to fit, you lose a piece of your shine. Psychiatrist Carl Jung said in 1933, "Loneliness does not come from not having people around, but from not being able to share what is meaningful to you." The pain you feel is not a lack of company. It's too much depth in a shallow world. The lightness of not explaining yourself. You don't owe any explanations for walking away. You don't need to justify why you didn't trust someone everyone thought was trustworthy. His vision is sharper because he has been trained in pain. You felt it before you knew it. You understood before you heard. And when he tried to express this, they called him an exaggeration. But deep down, everyone knew. You were the one who was right. Your intuition doesn't need permission. She is your compass, not your decoration. You are the exception that never folded. That's why you bother. Because unlike most, he doesn't need an audience to know who he is. You don't wait to be applauded to continue. He continues because he knows that what he carries was not given to be understood, but rather to be protected. And the most ironic thing is that those who tried to turn off your light today watch you in silence. They pretend not to see but follow you out of the corner of their eyes, not out of respect, but for fear of recognizing that you won without having to sell yourself. The truth that does not need to be proved. You were never ordinary. And everything that made you feel strange up until now was actually proof of how unique you were. Being spiritually self-sufficient means understanding that your mission does not need an audience because it already has direction. You are not here to please. You are here to awaken. And believe me, the true chosen ones don't shine to attract attention. They shine because they are light. And light, when it enters an environment, doesn't ask for permission. It simply takes up the space. Keep being light. Even if they try to erase you, what is true always comes back to life. Share this knowledge with the world. Together, we can spread this message and help more people become free. Subscribe to the channel and send this video to anyone who needs to hear this truth. The call that does not shut up. The strength of an unbreakable purpose. The story is told of a young man who, from an early age, carried something different. He didn't know what it was, he just felt a kind of restlessness that no one else seemed to notice. While his friends made common plans, he had ideas that seemed too big for the environment where he lived. "Why can't I be like others?" he asked, frustrated at feeling out of tune. This same question crosses generations. If you've felt this way, maybe you're about to understand something that could change the way you see the world and yourself. What if what you considered inner turmoil was always purpose screaming to be heard? You are not unstable. You are guided. What sets you apart is exactly what empowers you to accomplish what only you can do. Purpose is not a choice, it is a vocation. Many people believe that a mission is something you choose, like changing your clothes. But when you are set apart for something greater, the vocation manifests itself even without an invitation. It appears in the details, in the pains that shape you, in the talents that appear without explanation, in the situations that repeat themselves until you awaken. Gallup polls 2023 show that 83% of people who say they have found their purpose report that it revealed itself after a major loss or personal transformation. This confirms something that the ancients already knew. The call cannot be explained, it reveals itself. You didn't choose him, he chose you. The path of the chosen one is not validated by the collective. When you carry something rare, don't expect to be understood by those who live trapped by the logic of the common. Your path will provoke resistance, and it's not because you're wrong. It's because you're too right for anyone else's comfort. You will be misunderstood. They will try to ridicule you, put you in doubt. But this is all part of the process. People with a firm purpose are challenged precisely because they threaten fragile structures. Psychologist Brené Brown stated in 2019, "Clarity of purpose attracts both followers and opponents, but the real risk is in trying to please everyone." And it's true. The world reacts with distrust to those who do not need it to assert themselves. Criticism does not cancel destiny. If you are being criticized, betrayed, or underestimated, this is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of impact. Nobody throws stones on empty ground, for there is only a reaction when there is movement. Attempts to discredit what you carry do not diminish its value. They only reveal who is bothered by him. You are not here to prove anything to anyone. Your mission cannot be canceled by opinions. She is bigger than the noise, stronger than rejections, more durable than any emotional instability of others. Betrayals as catalysts. One of the most painful experiences on the path of those with a unique purpose is betrayal. It usually comes from those who were closest. But as devastating as it may seem, it fulfills an essential role, exposing what couldn't go with you to the next level. Jesus was betrayed by one of his own. Martin Luther King was discredited by allies. Nelson Mandela was ignored by his own country's leaders before being recognized as a symbol of freedom. History proves that betrayal is a turning point. It closes cycles, eliminates noise, reveals intentions, and above all, it strengthens confidence in yourself and your greater purpose. Concept 5. Purpose stands the test of time. Everything changes. Friendships change. Circumstances change. But when someone carries a genuine purpose, they remain firm as an anchor in the midst of chaos. You might even get lost momentarily. You may hesitate, doubt, want to stop, but what's real in you pulls you back. According to research by Stanford Graduate School, 2022, 76% of people with a strong sense of purpose are able to recover faster from emotional or professional crises. In other words, the purpose is a type of internal GPS. Even if you deviate, it recalculates your route. You can't be stopped. Your path does not end with stumbling blocks, it builds in them. Every criticism, every disappointment, every door that is closed, all of this is being used as a tool to refine what you will deliver to the world. You are not called to please. He was called to transform. And transformation often begins in silence and ends in impact. So if you have been experiencing moments of questioning, if you are hearing more no than yes, if people have been turning their backs on you or accusing you of being too much, this could be the clearest proof that you are on the right path. Because whoever carries a real purpose cannot be interrupted. To not miss any message from God, click the subscribe button, write "I'm ready" in the comments, and start aligning your energy with the transformation that is coming. The rejection that saved you. When no is the right answer. There was a time when you prayed with all your might for that door to open. I was sure it was the ideal path. He did his best. He did everything he could. But without explanation, it fell apart. At the time, it hurt. It seemed unfair, incomprehensible. And in the silence that came after, a question haunted you. Why didn't it work? But what if that denial was actually a gift in disguise? According to a survey carried out by the magazine Psychology Today in 2022, more than 68% of people who experienced impactful refusals say that years later, they recognized these moments as factors of emotional protection and personal growth. This reveals an uncomfortable but liberating truth. Not every loss is a loss. Protection that doesn't feel like protection. There is a form of care that the universe, or if you prefer spirituality, applies without warning. It's that interference that prevents you from entering environments that seemed promising, but that, behind the appearance, hid exhaustion, humiliation, or exhaustion. You didn't see the danger, but it was taken from him. Many times, the no that made you cry was exactly the shield that saved you from emotional ruin. People who seemed charming were actually ready to drain your energy. Opportunities that shined on the outside were empty on the inside. The disguise of delay. Have you ever felt like you're falling behind while watching other people move forward? They were chosen for work, for relationships, for visible achievements. And you waited. What you didn't know is that what seems like delay is sometimes protection disguised as delay. A survey by the University of Oxford 2021 revealed that people who go through longer waiting processes, especially when they are not understood, tend to develop more resilience and greater clarity of purpose than those who have always had an easier path. In other words, your stop time may have been the necessary interval for the right scenario to be prepared. Relationships that didn't succeed were blocks, not lost blessings. How many promising connections have disappeared? People who seemed right are gone. Partnerships died in the bud. You blamed yourself. You believed something was wrong with you. But what if they didn't come out by chance? Many of these calls were loaded with hidden intentions, shallow feelings, distorted expectations. Remaining in these cycles would have cost you your mental health, your identity, and in some cases, your peace. According to psychiatrist and author Scott Peck, in the classic The Road Less Traveled, 1978, rejecting what is not true is the highest form of self-acceptance. If that person left you, perhaps the higher plane acted first, to prevent you from being stuck with what deep down never belonged to you. Refusal as refinement. Every time life closed a door on you, it wasn't punishing you. He was honing his perception. Rejection taught you to look better, listening to the signals, trusting yourself more than seductive speeches from outside. And even when it seemed cruel, there was a lesson being learned in the silence, an internal adjustment that would not have been possible if everything had flowed easily. You didn't grow in praise. He grew up in silence. There was no progress in the invitations. He grew up in absences. The redefinition of success. What success is for you now may have nothing to do with what you pursued before. Refusal redirected his values. What you thought was essential turned out to be superfluous. What seemed unattainable has lost its charm. Reevaluating is a form of evolution, and rejections are often the alarm bells that stop you from clinging to the superficial. You are not losing. It is being repositioned. The no that pushed you towards the real yes. The truth is, looking back, you will be grateful for every door that closed, every invitation that didn't come, every person who didn't stay. Because if all those opportunities had come true, perhaps today you would be in a place that does not honor the greatness you carry. You are not being ignored. It is being preserved. What is real? What is truly yours? What carries your energetic signature? This will find you at the right time without forcing it. Accept rejection as part of the process. She didn't come to reduce you. It came to protect you from what you still couldn't see. And the most beautiful? What's truly yours will never need to be begged for. It will just come, and it will remain. If you feel this calling within you, subscribe to the channel and write, "I am chosen," in the comments. Declare that you are ready to receive what is already in store for you. The pain that transforms, the fire that doesn't burn, forges. He experienced nights so silent that the noise of his own thoughts seemed deafening. He cried in silence, afraid of appearing weak. He asked himself hundreds of times, "Does this all make any sense?" It seemed that the more I tried to do the right thing, the more I was beaten by life. But today, looking back, he understands. Every tear, Every absence, every moment of loneliness built the strongest version of himself. Question that doesn't want to be silenced. What if the pain you experienced was not punishment, but a tool? You were not hurt to be broken. He was touched by suffering to be stoned. The pain that does not destroy awakens. Contrary to popular belief, suffering is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of preparation. The greatest builders in human history faced losses, rejections, and falls before delivering something great to the world. In 2021, the American Psychiatric Association published a study stating that 79% of people who experienced severe emotional pain developed greater empathy and a sense of purpose over the next 5 years. In other words, suffering does not close doors. It opens internal dimensions that were previously dormant. The void as a revelation room. There are lessons that cannot be taught. They can only be lived. Loneliness forced you to listen to what you previously ignored. The silence revealed internal conversations that would never happen if the outside world was too noisy. While you lamented people's departure, you didn't realize that their absence made space for your own presence. It was in this emotional vacuum that his identity began to take shape. It wasn't abandonment that destroyed you. He was the one who reconnected you with what no one else could see in you, your raw essence. The pain didn't come by chance. There is no furnace burning without purpose. The heat you felt on the worst days was the spiritual fire igniting parts of you that were cold, lifeless, dormant. Great spiritual leaders such as Buddha, Moses, and even contemporary figures like Malala Yousafzai only recognized their calling after experiencing chaos. It's a universal standard. Crisis precedes clarity. You have been pierced by an internal earthquake because your old structure could not withstand what is to come. The ground needed to be shaken so that the foundations could be truly rebuilt. Every loss was a camouflaged lesson. You didn't lose because of bad luck. You lost to understand. To review what really matters. To exit automatic. Those who hurt you were teachers in disguise. They taught you limits. They taught you to recognize warning signs. They taught you to love without losing your self-love. According to Dr. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, pain is inevitable, but suffering makes sense when we find purpose in the midst of it. Each rejection was a coded message. Each failure, a new route being charted. Every absence is an opportunity to reorganize your priorities. A version that rose from the ashes. You wouldn't be who you are today if everything had been easy. What you carry today, maturity, vision, firmness, was not acquired in calm days. It was grown on stormy nights. And there is something powerful about this. No one can take from you what has been achieved through pain. These teachings do not come from books. They come from battles that only you know. While many boast visible achievements, you carry invisible scars that tell a story of resistance. Pain shapes where fate points. A lot of people want the glory, but they don't want the process. He wants the fruits but does not accept the pruning. But the universe, life, or God, and whatever you prefer to call it, does not deliver greatness to those who cannot bear the pressure. Pain, however cruel it may seem, is the sieve that separates those who want attention from those who are ready to carry out their mission. You were tested, not to be punished, but be prepared. You didn't fall, you were planted. If you still carry old pain, if you relive situations that hurt just remembering, understand, this does not weaken you. It shows that you still feel, and whoever feels it is alive, and those who are alive can still transform. You have not been forgotten. It was set aside for a while to strengthen itself. What made you suffer didn't bury you. You just hid until your roots were ready to support what was to come. Don't say it was the end. Say it was the beginning. The moment everything fell apart was the exact moment your new version began to be born. The awakening continues. If this video opened your eyes to truths you had never seen before, imagine what else you can discover. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content that will transform your life. Are you ready to embrace who you have always been? You've come this far, and that says a lot. Not everyone stays. Not everyone can stand to see the truth in the face. But you stayed. You heard. And now you know. What brought you here wasn't luck. It was survival. It was instinct. It was the kind of strength that can't be taught. It builds. It was not a mistake that you found this message. It was confirmation. You are not an ordinary person. For a long time, you tried to fit in. He tried to reduce the intensity. He silenced his intuitions. He suppressed his energy to appear acceptable. All this in an attempt to be normal. But now you understand. What the world called excess was actually an unrecognized gift. You realize now that you weren't rejected because you were wrong. He was removed because his presence exposes what others avoid facing. You are not exaggerated, it's authentic. The cycle that ends now. No more seeking approval where you have already been tested. Enough of insisting on doors that have already closed. You've already learned enough from the losses, from the no's, from the silences. None of this was waste. It was polishing. But now it's time to break this cycle. The phase where you expected recognition is over. The phase where you asked for permission to exist is also over. You no longer need to justify how you feel. You should no longer ask for permission to shine. What is coming requires preparation, not permission. What's coming won't wait for you to be ready. It will require posture. You can no longer carry those who don't want to grow. You can no longer lose yourself trying to please those who never saw your value. The new stage of your life requires emotional cleansing, firm decisions, and a sense of worth that cannot be negotiated. You're not being proud by moving away from toxic environments. You're being responsible. You're not being cold by cutting off shallow relations. You are being coherent. The value is in who you have become. You no longer have the obligation to prove anything to anyone. Your growth speaks for itself. If today you are more selective, it is because you have already known what hurts. If you trust less today, it's because you've already trusted too much in those who don't deserve it. Everything you've experienced has taught you something, inclusive a door, including the delay, including the silences. You are the result of a process that was not visible to many, but was too intense for you to ignore. No one else needs to understand. As long as you understand, you are the one who needs to understand your journey. You are the one who needs to believe in what you carry. The clarity you have now does not depend on explanations. You no longer need to translate your truth to those who only hear what they want. You no longer need to exhaust your energy trying to justify decisions that were born from your intuition. If it made sense to your spirit, then that's enough. If it protected your peace, then it was worth it. Don't slow down because of fear. Now that you understand who you are, the challenge is to continue without sabotaging yourself. Many people recognize their own worth, but don't have the courage to act on it. Don't be one of them. You've seen what it's like to live in hiding. You already know what it takes to deny yourself to be accepted. The next step requires courage. It requires movement. It requires an attitude aligned with who you really are. Are you ready? Yes, you will be annoying. Yes, you will be misunderstood by those who live attached to their appearance. But that doesn't matter anymore. Your role now is to walk firmly. Own your journey without apologizing. Honor the process that brought you here. You don't need signs anymore, they have already come. You don't need confirmations. Time has already proven. You are not under construction, you already are. And what happens from now on will be a consequence of what you decided to accept about yourself. You were not chosen to wait for the right moment. You are called to create the right moment. And it starts now. Follow our channel for more overcoming and purposeful content. Click the subscribe button and activate the bell. Your liberation has begun.